One of my favorite stats that I saw yesterday, fellas. Did y'all know that in each of the last 4 years, I hope I get this right, each of the last 4 years, a 6-7 team has made the playoffs. Here sit the Detroit Lions at 6-7, and here was the scene in the Lions locker room after they beat the 10-2. They were fraudulent all along. They've given up more points than they scored. Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, that feels good, though. Gentlemen, that is outstanding. You talk about you guys being ready to go. You guys have been ready to go for 6 weeks, man. That's the way to come out and set the tone for the day.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what you guys did. You didn't bat an eye. And guess what? It wasn't quite the cleanest game either. But that's okay, man. We did what we had to do, and we took control of that game. I want you guys to enjoy this because we earned that. We're earning all of them right now. You're playing good football. Man, stay hungry just like you are, man. We're on fire right now. We got to keep it. All right? Let it go.
It feels different. The work and the results speak to that. Keep doing it. Reload this week, one more at a time. One more at a time. Stick together. Family on three. 1, 2, 3.
I'm drained. But I'm excited, believe me. I mean, the guys know how I felt all week about this game. But yeah, look, I don't think there's a surprise here. We I've said it before. It's hard when you get down in the dumps and you were where we were at. It's easy to lose faith, but these guys never did, and we stayed true to what we're about. And they knew, they believed we were one play away, and that's where we've been. And so now we're making the play. We're making the one extra play. It's not costing us, and we're able to overcome some of these mistakes we were making earlier. So, no, our guys, they know they belong. They know they belong, and they know when they play football like we've been playing the last 6 weeks, we can play with anybody. That's the truth.
All right, from 1-6 to winners of 5 of 6. Charles, a lot of people ask me, like, who's my favorite team? And they know I'm from New Orleans. They're like, oh, you're a Saints fan, right? Like, no, I was as a kid, but I'm old enough to have come up in a time when it was not popular to be a fan as a journalist. We had to be neutral, objective, and impartial to maintain some level of journalistic integrity. So do you still consider yourself a Lions fan, number one? And whether or not you do, I'm curious deep down. You know that city. You know that community. Mm-hmm. Not only do I think the Lions, I think, are the best story in the NFL right now, but I wonder what this means to the city of Detroit to have both short and long-term hope for the first time in forever.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. I as far as being a Lions fan, I grew up during the Barry Sanders era, Herman Moore, the Great Lakes offense, Brett Perriman, and I had a lot of love for the organization.
Fonts, yeah.
Wayne Fonts, yeah. Then I covered the team, and I can safely say I covered the Marty Mornhinweg overlaps, the whole Marty Mornhinweg era. Like one of my first stories was covering Gary Moeller getting fired by Matt Millen. And then I covered the overlap with Steve Mariucci. I can just tell you that having gone through that experience, any fandom you have in you is stomped out. Like there's just nothing that gets completely stomped out because you got to be a journalist and you see what it looks like behind closed doors. And you're like, I understand now why this organization is so messed up. Now that said, I am an immense fan of Lions fans because I know it's like being Cavaliers fans or Browns fans, the people who show up. Yeah, they live through it and they just want to see some success. And what was interesting to me, it took me a long time to really buy into Dan Campbell at all. And I asked someone who was at home, who's living in Michigan, I was like, I don't get it. Like, to me, he's a lot of bluster, but there's not the results. Why does Detroit love him so much after this first season where he was horrible, bad enough to have the number 2 pick in the draft? And this person said to me, it's because he wants to be here in Detroit. He wants to embrace Detroit. And I think people there are so beat down by it does. Yeah. They want someone who wants to be in the city, who wants to bleed the way they bleed, and they bought into that first. And the one comp I will say about this, and I've come around on Dan Campbell, I was a very big critic of his. I watched him in Hard Knocks, and I started to think, man, maybe there is something here. Sean Payton said, "Oh, this is great. You talked to Payton. You ask him about Campbell, who was on Sean's staff in New Orleans. He says the comp is a guy I like a lot. He says he's Mike Vrabel. He's an offensive Mike Vrabel. That's who this guy can be. And if that's true, if what we're seeing now is sort of like Vrabel instilling himself and what he brings to the table into his team, that's true in Detroit. They got a good one."
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, man, I love that.
Mike, I'm going to speak our love language, Mike, real quick. I know you love Vrabel, too.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak our love language. The Lions are sitting so pretty for this year and beyond, I wouldn't even franchise them. I'd feel guilty franchising them. It's set up. It's too good.
Yeah.
They got the Rams pick coming their way. It's just too good. It's too good. They got too many young pieces. I wouldn't even want to franchise. Too easy at this point. Brad Holmes.
I'd franchise him, though. I'd franchise him.
I tip my hat. You'll be in the NFC Championship game next year.
I still would. And Charles, I love what you said about Detroit. Like, it's not just the result on the field.
Accurate.
It's the people who have been there year in and year out. And we all know the stats. I mean, they haven't won a championship since 1957. I mean, it's almost like Detroit fans, for that circle, it's like being in a circle of hell, a Dan Snyder circle of hell, but not for the 30 years or whatever he's owned the Commanders, the 23, 24 years he's owned the Commanders. Just imagine being there, like all of your life, and part of your father and your mother's life, and maybe even your grandparents. Like it's the same thing over and over, and you feel like you're never gonna get out. You're never gonna get out of this hell that this franchise has been in for such a long time. The last time they won one playoff game since the 90s, right? One playoff game.
92 was the.
Well, and then Charles.
So it's easy to make, Mike. I was just gonna say, Mike, it's easy to make fun. It's easy to make fun of that franchise. Mm-hmm. But there are people who have been watching that franchise. Some of them walked away, but a lot of them just stayed, and they have hope. So it's not just liking fans of the Lions and Lions liking Campbell because he wanted them. I think that's the story, quite frankly. This is beyond sports. We'll talk about it another day. I think that's the story of a lot of cities in the Midwest where we are bi-coastal, East Coast, West Coast. But there are a lot of cities in the Midwest, in the Mid-South, that feel like nobody's really paying attention to them. Nobody's checking for them.
Right.
And if somebody does, then they have so much passion. They got so much passion. They got so much love. They will give you the benefit of the doubt in spades.
No, what I was going to say was and this is even more special. This comes a year after Matthew Stafford went to the Rams and won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And it comes after.
And Mike Verlander left and wins a World Series in Houston. That hurt them
there you
too.
go.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. And then you have the Caldwell years where their last good years. They get rid of Caldwell to bring in Matt Patricia. And that stretch was a disaster. So now to end up here is especially sweet. But let's not look too macro, though, because in the micro, like I said, 1-6 to winners of 5 of 6, 6-7, making a playoff push, looking as dangerous as anybody. Like, this feels like you hate to resort to the team that nobody wants to play. And we're talking about Jared Goff, who many people think the Rams got to the Super Bowl in spite of. But I remember going to training camp and Goff talking about it and Brad Holmes talking about it. He was so unsettled by that trade last year. So just personally, he got comfortable and got more comfortable in the offense and taking ownership of the offense this year. Like, Jared Goff is a problem. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Shark, that's defensively they still leaky. They can make plays, but they're not dominant on defense. Offensively, they could knock somebody out if they make the playoffs.
They're nice.
They're
nice.
You want a good comp here? This is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's crossing worlds, but I was in Detroit when Grant Hill wanted out. Okay, I was there. Crushed the fan base there. Grant Hill was, and this was before they knew what the ankle injury was going to do to his career. They thought this is going to be the next a guy who fits somewhere in Jordan, Bird, Magic. I mean, that's how
he was the next Jordan.
Was.
Yeah.
Well, they dealt him, right? They dealt him. They ended up having to deal him away to the Orlando Magic. Guess who they got in return in that trade? Ben Wallace. Okay? It ended up weirdly being the best thing for the Pistons franchise because they got the anchor, absolute centerpiece back.
Yeah.
Now they trade Matt Stafford.
I'm gonna shout.
They trade Matt Stafford. They get a pick that's going to be a high pick. And by the way, the quarterback
Goff was a throw-in.
Goff, who was supposed to be the impediment in that trade, all of a sudden you're kind of like, he might be viable in Detroit. They might be able to take that top 5 pick and take Jalen Carter and put him next to Aiden Hutchinson.
Take Will Anderson and put him on the other side.
You never know. Sometimes that trade that hurts so bad ends up in the long run being the best thing that happened, and that's what happened with the Pistons.
100%. That's a word right there.
That's a great. That's a great comp. And you know what's so cool about it, Charles, is that they didn't want to trade Grant Hill. They get back Ben Wallace, and they probably shrug at that point. Undrafted guy, undersized. Okay, what's this?
Good rebounder.
Grant Hill. But think about, not only did he become one of the anchors of their championship team in 2004. Grant, just like Jared Goff is exhibiting and Dan Campbell is exhibiting, Ben Wallace and Rasheed and Chauncey and Rip. What they rode? They rode for the D. They love Detroit.
And Detroit versus everybody.
That can be overrated if you're not any good. But if you're competitive and a contender, and you have that spirit, oh man, you can go to that city forever and they'll always love you.
Well, another thing too. This is just like, I got to look at over the cap. Maybe you know off the top of your head, Charles, what their cap situation is going into next year. But it's like one of the reasons why they embraced having Hard Knocks is like wanting people around the league to realize, hey, this is a destination for you in free agency. This is a place where you might want to play because of this community, because this organization is heading in the right direction, because of this coaching staff, which is full of former players. Really something special there.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.